If you suspect that the US government is lying to you about the true nature and purpose of its activities in the Middle East and throughout the world, you are not alone. Geopolitical expert and investigative journalist Jake Morphonios will guide you through the labyrinth of mainstream media lies and government gaslighting. Sit back and get ready to learn. This is the Blackstone Intelligence Network.
This week I've been tracking the deployment of refueling tankers to overseas forward operating bases, and in the last 24 hours, the U.S. military has begun moving B-2 stealth bombers from Whiteman Air Force Base, which is in Missouri, and is moving them out west toward the Pacific out to Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. If you track this online, you can see it yourself, satellite tracking and flight tracking data sites. If you look for the call signs like MYTEE21, which is MYTEE21, shows immediate aerial refueling over Kansas by KC-135 tankers, which suggests that these aircrafts took off partially loaded with fuel, probably because they have got a pretty heavy bomb load capacity. So this is not a routine global rotation. With 8 tankers staged mid-flight and a surge of tanker activity along the path, this is a clear indicator that these bombers are heavily armed, that they are fully mission ready, that they are staged for a strike package. The distance from Guam to the Fordow nuclear site in Iran, which is ultimately where they're headed, is approximately 6,900 nautical miles. Now, the B-2 can fly 6,000 miles on a single tank, but with mid-air refueling, B-2s can fly intercontinental missions. So they can go round trip without needing to land at all. And we've seen in past missions, like in Kosovo or Afghanistan, Iraq, B-2s flew all the way from Missouri to their targets and back. And these were 40-hour flights with multiple refuelings. Now, an additional option, once they get to Guam, is to forward deploy to Diego Garcia, which is in the Indian Ocean. And that's only 3,200 miles to the Fordow nuclear site in Iran. So I believe that President Trump's statement that he made a couple of days ago, that his decision on Iran is kind of up in the air, that he's going to give them 2 weeks, I think that's just a strategic bluff. I think its military posturing is already in full effect in a way that shows us that this is the real thing. Deploying assets like B-2s, tankers, missile defense ships, all these aircraft carriers, F-22s, that demonstrates a readiness posture that goes beyond just trying to pressure Iran. This is a lot of money, energy, time, assets being put into this. This isn't just a tactic to try and scare Iran. They're actually doing this. This 2-week narrative, basically what it does is it gives politically convenient cover to kind of placate the waffling MAGA supporters who have been in an uproar this week. Kind of tells them, hey, I've not actually done anything yet. Don't freak out. This is not a big deal. While operational momentum is building out there covertly, not a lot of people pay attention to this, and that's why I'm doing this particular video, because I want you to know things are moving ahead. As I see a lot of people in social media, Trump supporters talking about how, oh, don't freak out, he's not doing anything. He is doing something. The B-2 is uniquely suited to deep strike missions. It can evade advanced radar and air defenses, and it carries these massive payloads, 2 30,000-pound bombs, these GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. They're called MOPS, but they're nicknamed bunker busters. These are explicitly designed to be able to breach hardened underground facilities. These are the primary weapons being carried by these B-2s. And that's what you're going to need, at the very least, if not a tactical nuke, may be necessary, but it's because Fordow sits anywhere from 80 to 90 meters, which is 262 to 295 feet underneath a mountain. And the ability of these bunker busters is they can punch about 60 meters deep. So that's not enough to destroy it. So you're going to have multiple strikes with these bunker busters to take out the Fordow facility. So mission planning. This likely includes a mixed loadout. 2 GBU-57s. You're going to have standoff munitions like joint air-to-surface standoff missiles, cruise missiles, to neutralize defenses as they go in, degrade their air defenses, and create a safe corridor for the bombers to go in. And so what they would do is depart from Andersen Air Force Base. They have to take off with partial fuel because the payload is so heavy. The bombs are so heavy. So you get in the air, rendezvous quickly with one of these KC-135 so you can top off, maximizing the payload instead of having to carry the extra fuel on takeoff. And then this aerial refueling would continue as the planes travel over the Pacific or over the Indian Ocean if they're leaving from Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is a known staging ground. Recent imagery shows multiple tankers and bombers there, and there's photos of B-2s taking off. But anyway, once over Iran, the B-2s are going to use stealth and electronic warfare assets. They're going to come in low and fast to try and avoid detection, trying to evade Iran's radar systems. Standoff missiles might be launched first. And then the MOPs, the bunker busters, they're going to be released precisely because they've got to hit in exactly the right spot to penetrate the mountain and collapse the shelters that house Fordow's centrifuges. After they've dropped the bombs, they've got to head back either to the forward bases or in Guam and Diego Garcia, or they can go all the way back to the mainland. They can go all the way back to Missouri. They just have to use the refueling tankers. Now, Israel is going to be a big part of this operation. They've already been hitting Fordow, but of course nothing they have can penetrate down to the core, which is buried down there. But what they are doing, what they're going to continue doing, is to degrade Iranian air defenses. They're going to be hitting missile sites. They're going to be hitting air defenses, trying to take out key personnel right before this. So they're going to prepare the targets, basically. That's what Israel's going to do. They're going to use their drones, cyber tools, degrade the air defenses, pave the way for these heavy bombers to come in. Of course, they also have got their on-the-ground intelligence. They've got their satellite imagery, but we've got that as well. But what they have that we don't have as much of as is human intelligence. HUMINT. Western-backed covert networks are going to be there where they can feed live data and tell the strike group what's going on, give them intel. And so a synchronized raid with the US B-2s is going to maximize shock, degrade Iran's ability to retaliate immediately, try and get the fighters out of there. Now, there are potential problems. The biggest one, of course, is that experts are split on whether or not the GBU-57 is going to do the job. At the very least, you're going to have multiple bombs hit this single target accurately for this to work. Another problem is Iran's integrated air defense networks. Israeli electronic strikes are going to be critical. They're going to have to neutralize S-300s. They're going to have to knock out the radar before the B-2s can go in. So when we see this big movement by Israel, we're going to know this is it. The B-2s are going in. Whether or not formal orders are given, the fact is that even sending these B-2s out there, we're sending a signal this is irreversible intent. We're trying to undermine the confidence of the Iranians, trying to spook them, trying to force them to the negotiating table. At least that's the appearance. I honestly don't think the United States cares anything about whether or not Iran is going to negotiate. I don't think they give a damn. I don't think that the Trump team has ever negotiated in good faith. Certainly, Israel is not going to tolerate the existence of any kind of ongoing Iranian nuclear program, even if it's confirmed by international inspectors to be only for non-bomb use, for just energy production for the country. But anyway, this positioning of the B-2s out there is meant to spook them, and it has a little bit. We just saw today the Iranian Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah, has named potential successors, which shows that he recognizes he could be killed in this operation. That's certainly what we tried to do to Saddam. Knocked out a couple of his sons, but didn't kill him in that opening shock and awe. Something else that moving the B-2s out there does is it kind of presents this 2 weeks that Trump is giving. It kind of gives him this political cover, a pretext. He can say, I gave them 2 weeks to try and whatever, and they just wouldn't meet me even halfway. Of course, why would they, given how treacherous the United States has behaved already with negotiations? It's clear we're screwing with them. They know it. Everybody knows it. But anyway, also by calling for this 2 weeks, it gives Trump the flexibility to either pause or pivot depending on if unforeseen events unfold. So basically, I see Trump's 2-week warning as just a strategic delay. I think that he had all the rhetoric, all the pompous bravado, and all. I think he was thinking he was just going to go in. And then when he had his meetings with his military brass, and they said, dude, we can't just snap our fingers and go. We need a little time to get our assets in place. And then that's when he gave us, let's take 2 weeks. But militarily, this decision, the resources, they're already in motion. It's already committed. This is going to happen. So I think that the deployment of the B-2s is not a bluff. I think it's a calculated escalation from the bombs, the flight patterns, the forward staging, the tanker logistics. All of this is in place. So the 2-week ultimatum is, and what I said from the very beginning, this is just political theater. The machinery of war is already rolling. Lindsey Graham won. President Trump's statement effectively keeps options open, but with bunker busters loaded and the stealth bombers airborne, combined Western Israeli targeting platforms synchronized, all of this, it clearly indicates that we're getting ready to execute a strike. Diplomacy, even if the Iranians were trying to talk, this is just a countdown. So that's my assessment based on what I'm seeing at the moment. If you'd like a copy of all of this information, this strike assessment or other Blackstone reports, you can either subscribe to my work for $5 or more at Patreon, patreon.com/BlackstoneIntel. You can also subscribe to my reports at Substack, blackstoneintel.substack.com. So thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more because things are about to get ugly. For Blackstone Intelligence, I'm Jake Blackstone.